Good evening, everyone who is joining us. Welcome to CSLDallas Meditation, Mindfulness, and Manifestation. I'm Bobby, and I will be here supporting Dr. Petra. She will lead us in a meditation, offer some comments and some ideas, and then we'll open the floor for conversation. Anybody that has any insights that they'd like to share, questions that they'd like to ask, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat. I can read it or call you into the room, and that's how the evening will go. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Petra.
Bobby, thank you so much. All right. So it's always so lovely to come together on a Wednesday night. Grateful for the support, the technical opportunity to, just be connected across the miles and also across time for those people who come in and watch later in the week. So often people will talk about, I think I'll take it into meditation. And what they mean is they'll take a question or a contemplation, and we're looking for some kind of guidance, inspiration, maybe a sense of what is wanting to express as us. And so there is a wonderful way in which we can recognize that while we are directive when we're manifesting things, we can also be receptive to the impress. Now, I do want to say that I don't believe that the impress, that spirit has a plan for us. I don't think there's a specific idea that is decided somewhere out there. What I do believe is that impress for life, if we are working to really open ourselves to the universal, right? That universal shines through the individual that we are. And so since we don't all have a clear glass, I think we are all part of the stained glass rainbow of life itself. And so that impress is coming through, but it's coming through, let's say, my blue stained glass piece, or perhaps I have a multicolored one, or perhaps mine is, 8-sided, or, right? They're all unique. It's the same impress. It's the same light. But it is shining through us, through our revelation that we have of spiritual inspiration. It's not our thinking mind. It's not our thinking mind. It's not our egoic mind. It's not the way in which we think things should work. And it's not about analyzing it. And so in meditation really provides this lovely opening in consciousness into which we can lay a question, and then we can allow it to reveal itself to us. And in that observer moment, we have the opportunity to observe not only what's being revealed by the question, but we have an opportunity to observe our responses or reactions to when something is bubbling up, and a part of us just goes, oh no, and we just dismiss it out of hand because it's not part of how we figured out to do it, or it's not part of how we think it should be done. And it's astonishing how quickly we can do that. We can do that so quickly that we almost miss entirely this quiet moment of reflection or inspiration that is actually coming through, that's actually revealing itself. And that comes out of what's being revealed comes out of our deepest essential nature. It comes out of our subconscious mind, not just the crap that's in there, but that part of us that is part of the one mind that actually has the intelligence of the universe and has that universal perspective, and it's moving as us. So I thought tonight we would do an opening type meditation that really allows us to create that space and then provides a space in consciousness in which we can lay a question. And it doesn't have to be a bit, yeah. So a question and an idea we want to know something more about. It could be about an action we want to take. It could be about a direction in our life. It could be about how do I become more of something? There's lots of different kinds of questions that we can lay in to our consciousness, into this field of awareness, and then allow it to begin to reveal itself to us and to see what bubbles up. And as I said, to pay attention to our responses. Which do we dismiss? Which do we think, oh, I could do that? Which give us a sense of peace and relief, which are agitating. All of those kinds of things are useful, which is why we do this in the meditative state. And of course, the meditative state is essentially that state of openness and observation, being in the observer, in the witness position. So that's what we're up to today. And so as we begin to breathe in, you might just ask yourself, what is it I'd like to contemplate? Is there something that's been niggling at me, or something I've been working on, or something that I feel like, gosh, I could just use a little more inspiration about that, or maybe some more direction. Yeah. And then we're going to take that into this consciousness and opening that we create in our meditation. So Bobby's going to give us some nice, beautiful music, and then we'll begin. So just taking a breath. We always begin with a breath. Feeling the inhale, expand the lungs, feeling it move through the whole body, releasing anything that we're carrying around in our shoulders, in our mind, in our heart. So we just take some long, slow, deep breaths at your own pace. Breathing all the way down into the core of your being. And if you want to, you can even exhale, blowing it out. And one more long, slow, deep breath, all the way down to the center. And a long exhale. And notice that as we've done so, our whole system has begun to settle. Feel your feet on the floor, your seat in your seat, your cushion, your chair, where you're seated. Feel yourself settled. Take a moment to imagine a string that's attached to the very top of your head. Just tug on it gently and feel your whole spine lengthen and straighten. Feel the vertebra in your neck opening up. And as that physical opening takes place, as we open our whole torso, We are energetically opening our whole system. So in this meditation, we're in a safe place. It's quiet and lovely. We set an intention to surround ourselves in peaceful light. And that only that which is good and pure and from the universal can come into our consciousness, be revealed through our heart. And so as we continue to breathe and create this safe space around us, begin to intend to open your mind. Begin to intend to open your heart. Imagine that you're opening your whole being. That more of the infinite love and light and presence can flow in and as you. And in this opening, we intend this opening. Also intend to release on the out breath any preconceived ideas that you have about this thing that you are going to contemplate. Any idea that you have about how it's supposed to happen or how it should be or anything you've tried to figure out up until this point. Just set it all aside by breathing it out. Breathe it out of your heart. Breathe it out of your mind. Breathe it out of your whole being. Each exhale, opening that space. It is the field of awareness. As we rest in the field of awareness, it's so still and peaceful here. Take a moment to breathe in the stillness. Now imagine that this field of awareness is available and float your question right out into that field of awareness. Perhaps your question is an image about something new. Words that express what you want or need. Maybe it's just an energetic of curiosity. Just allow the thought or the image or the idea to rest in this field of awareness. simply hold it with curiosity, with interest, with attention. You might ask yourself the question in your own mind. Feel your interest in your own heart. Begin to notice whatever floats across the field of awareness. Notice whatever thought emerges, or feeling, image. Just notice it. Don't try to hold on to it or analyze it. And continue to provide a curiosity and an interest. Just let it come. Let it flow. Know that you'll remember anything that's important. There's a follow-up question or thought or idea that you want to float out into this beautiful open space, you can do that too. Simply notice what's bubbling up. Notice your own responses and reactions to whatever comes to you. Just be aware. Remember that there is an infinite power and presence, an infinite intelligence. It knows how to create anything. It has all the intelligence needed to manage a universe. Grow a tomato plant. Evolve new life forms. And become a human being. Self-aware expression. So it has the intelligence that is needed at this moment for whatever it is you're contemplating. It has that intelligence. Knows. And that intelligence that knows is the truth of your being. There is that within you that knows. Simply allowing that intelligence, that wisdom, that inner guidance, nudge to come to the forefront. Speak softly or invite you into something you haven't imagined before. So how lovely it is in this moment as whatever has come to remember that not only is there this intelligence that knows, there is a power that also knows how to create an infinite wellspring of the impulse of life itself is moving through each one of us. Through the very desires of our heart, questions that we bring, the answers that we receive. Trusting implicitly that there is something here for each one of us. Simply allow ourselves to have a moment of gratitude. Gratitude for the space. Gratitude for the awareness and consciousness that we can be present to the field of possibility. We can open ourselves and step out of the human box and invite the universal intelligence to be revealed. And so just as we have been in a safe place, so we know there is nothing to fear. Only something to become, something to grow into, something to expand. More life. And everything that is needed for that is already present. Right here, right now. That's that infinite power and presence that is moving through all creation. And so with that, we just breathe it in, let it go. Taking a moment in that deep and profound gratitude to just allow whatever has come to you to anchor itself for you to remember, when you are ready, just take another deep breath. Open your eyes. If you want to, you can write something down. Write a few ideas, a few notes, a picture. Whatever seems important that was available to you at this time. So, thanks, Bobby. You can let that music go, and it's so much easier sometimes to look at something, to contemplate something, to try to figure out something from that larger universal space. Right? In that space, we've left our anxiousness behind, our anxiety behind, our smallness behind. We've left all that behind. And in that larger field, there's such a more peaceful, open state that perhaps there is when we are just sitting around talking to our friends or trying to figure out what to do or how to move forward. And so it's important, I think, when we think about how meditation, mindfulness, and manifestation operate together, right? Meditation opens the field. Mindfulness makes us aware of the moment, which is what we were practicing. And then that allows the manifestation to come so much more effortlessly because we're not trying to make something happen, figure it out, have every step. We're in that, well, for me, I call that place trust. Yeah, I find myself then in a place where the whole system is so centered and grounded and aligned that I know that I can trust what has come forward, and I can trust the process now of it unfolding. I can trust that there is a power and a presence, that there is an intelligence, and that is moving through me as me. It's attracting to me everything I need. And it continues to be an internal guidance system and attracts to me also other inspiration or validation or just that exact thing I needed at exactly the right time. And because of that, do you see, then we can walk through our lives with so much more peace, so much more consciousness, and a deep trust. And I don't really use the word faith. I feel like faith means I have to have faith in something I don't know, I can't see, I can't understand. And for me, the word is trust. That I am trusting that this is moving in a direction that is for good, for my good and for the good of whatever it is that I'm asking about, for the good of whoever this is going to impact or who are going to be a part of this, because that's the nature of life itself, is to move toward more life and to provide for life everything that it needs. Yeah.
So that would be faith in the creative process.
Pardon me, say it again, Bobby.
Faith in the creative process.
Yeah. And for me, faith feels like I have to have faith in something that I don't understand, or that it's just something magical, right? And for me, trust in the creative process is just exactly like trust in gravity, or if I use math, or if I decide to build a plane. There are principles and laws that I can bring to bear. And if I am using them correctly in alignment with how they work, then whatever I'm trying to do or make is bound to happen.
And every word is a glyph. And so trust is a better word for you.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. But the point is, it's the creative process that we are engaged in. And that we're really leaning into, that it's there, that it's completely reliable. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to think about it. And it's like the sun is going to come up in the east in the morning.
It's always happening.
Right.
And it's dependable.
Right.
And it always says yes.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. So let's stop then and see how was that for you? Something that you want to share that came up, a question that you have about it, something that came up that you are maybe as surprised about, or just see what is up for everybody. So love to hear if there is someone who would like to share. Bobby,
come on, guys and gals. This is not a conversation between me and Petra, as Ryan tells us on Sundays. So
yeah. Or you can talk, or how is that process for you to do that be in that kind of state where you can really just allow something to sit so that it can reveal itself to us. Yeah.
So as I understood from what you were saying, meditation in the way that we were doing this evening gives us that opening so that we can receive. Because Ernest would teach us that we receive as we are open to receive. So
yeah, exactly. And we're often so busy trying to figure it out or think about it, or just in our lives in general, that for me, I notice that I'm not always quiet enough to hear it, to hear even my own thoughts about it, let alone some inspiration that can come from a universal point of view, and can get so wrapped up in, and I watch people do this, they're wrapped up in, well, what do you think? Well, what do you think? Well, I think I'll read a book about this, or what, and they talk to people and they get all kinds of different ideas, and everybody sees it a little differently, thinks about it a little differently. Some of them might be right in alignment, but some of them might really not have anything to do with us at all. And so we're busy looking outside of ourselves, or we're busy trying to
make it happen, when it's not up to us to tell the universe how to make it happen.
Right.
Kind of throwing a cog in the wheel when we do that.
Right. Yeah. And so when we quiet ourselves, meditation really creates that openness into which we can hear it, sense it, feel it, receive it, experience it, be present to it, right? Whatever it is, which is some combination of universal inspiration, our own knowingness. Sometimes I think it's so funny, people will ask for clarity, and sometimes we really do just need clarity. That's really what this kind of a meditation is about. But I also think sometimes people ask for clarity because they don't actually want to admit to themselves what they already know. They already know they have to do this or make that decision or move in that direction, but they don't want to. And so this I think too, for me, this kind of a quiet space, that I really move myself into that quiet space, I can observe not only when that knowingness arises, but also that I don't want to do it. And then I can pretend to be confused when in fact, all I'm doing is not being willing to admit that, oh yeah, I have to do this thing, or I have to not do this thing, or I have to go, or I have to not go, whatever, the thing is that we are avoiding or afraid of, or simply not willing to admit to ourselves. And so, yeah, creating this open space is so valuable in our own lives. And it's, and once we get really comfortable with the meditation practice that isn't only directed to an experience of this sort of transcendent, melting into the oneness, there's also this space of awareness, which is the opening of the field of awareness. And that if we can just sit in it long enough, do you see, that's what it means when we are presencing ourselves and life. Like we're just fully in awareness. We're not out there. We're not in our own brains. We're not in the situation trying to figure it out. We're in this open, aware state. And as we practice doing that in meditation, we can truthfully become something that we can take into the moment, and into an anxious moment, a crisis moment, a decision-making moment. We can take it into a conversation we're having with a family member or a beloved. We can take it into a board meeting or a meeting that we're having with our boss or an employee or somebody we work with. And whether one, we're not sure what our contribution is at the moment, or two, we're not sure how things are, where they're going, and we're not sure what what sometimes I have to ask myself, what do I want here? Sometimes I really don't. It's really okay. I don't have something to contribute, or I don't have a thing I really want, but
a greater understanding of infinity.
Well, yes. And it's also about being present to what is wanting to emerge. And if I can have the patience, it will actually emerge. And often I think it's a greater understanding of what is seeking to come through me. Right? What's seeking, because it's the impress of the universal as us. And we, as I said at the beginning, we're unique. It's going to come through me differently than it's going to come through Bobby, differently that's going to come through anybody else that's here, or anybody that watches us later. Each one of us is going to come a little bit differently because we're a little bit different and a little bit and so when we create that moment, right, we can actually pay attention, listen, receive it, see it.
So it's opening ourselves to the impress of the universe upon our little bit of the one mind, as opposed to when we do visioning and then we are reversing that process and putting our impress out into the universe.
Well, it's everything that you said is exactly right on, except that I would say this is also what we're doing in visioning, because when we put our impress on the universe, that's what we're doing when we are doing our intentional manifestation work. When I speak my word, when I say an affirmation, when I do a visualization, when I speak a spiritual mind treatment, when I'm using the law of attraction, I am impressing on the universe. And the universe in that case is being simply the power that knows how to do what is being impressed upon it. But in this case, very similar to the visioning practice, is we're opening ourselves and we're becoming aware of the field of consciousness that we are, and we are receiving impress. And it's on our little space, exactly as you said, Bobby, our little corner of the, one mind that is really, that is individuated. That's the individualized expression of life itself. And so, and it's really cool to be able to do that and see, just like, be curious, like, I wonder what's going to come up. Not, I got to better figure this out and get the right answer, but to have that very open, curious consciousness, it allows for a lot more to be revealed. And it's and then we can then we decide, right? We listen, we hear what it is, and then we can decide, that
and we
feels
participate in involution and evolution.
Right. That's exactly right. And that's right. We feel it, we have the impress, and then we're evolving it out into form. Yes, this part, this piece, this thing, that, and now I'm going to start doing the manifestation part of it, speaking it into being, doing what, is there for me to do, doing both my spiritual work and my work in the world to evolve it out into form. That's exactly right. And this is a constant dance, right? And we can be, this piece of it, we can sometimes forget. I don't know, maybe I'll just speak for myself because I'm busy, figuring out, doing. And then I'm like making decisions, or, I just don't know how to make a decision about that. Yeah, we all know how to make a decision about that. And it starts with opening, listening, feeling. I don't like that word listening as if it's always going to be the voice of God that's going to speak to us. Sometimes it's an image or a feeling. It's, there's a lot of different ways in which we receive it. But listening feels like an energetic state that we're creating in our consciousness. All right. Anybody else?
TJ has a hand up.
Great.
TJ, would you like to go ahead and unmute yourself, please?
Sure. Yes. Hi. Good evening, everyone that is present. I just want to say, first of all, that I enjoy these meditations so very much. They're completely different from the guided meditations that I have done in the past. They're just, I do feel more open, more receptive, less thinking going on, and more just, I don't know, being present and just being in the process. Yes. So thank you very much for that. And then I kind of get a little bit mixed up when I think about, so the presence is in me, as me, through me, around me. But when I use that word me or my, it kind of trips me up a little bit because, well, is it me? And there's, I don't know. It just kind of trips me up a little bit. So
yeah, I totally understand, Terry. And this is why, so when we ask that question, we have to realize that we're asking that question out of our human consciousness. Because we couldn't ask that question unless we thought that me was separated from it.
yeah.
So, right? So if the universe is really moving in, through, and as me, in, through, and as me, then me and it is the same.
Yes.
And
yes.
But it's a good question because we do actually have to check, is now my inspiration really truly coming from that state of consciousness, or is it my egoic self that believes it's separate and feels like it has to figure it out and wants to be a certain way, and is trying to fool me into thinking that is the inspiration. because that's not me either. That's a
Right, yes.
construct, right? That's a construct that we have that allows us to manage the space-time continuum. So the check, the me that we really are is the deepest truth of our sense of self, our sense of our own values, our sense of efficacy in the world, and our realization that we belong in our own lives and that we have a right to choose because we're designed to choose and to create. And so that's why in the science mind, we say you can choose anything you want as long as it harms no one. So in that sense, it's an immaterial question. Is it me or is it me? Is it me or is it my spiritual me? Well, does it matter? The only thing that matters, well, for me, I have two checks. One, I really think about, what good is coming of this, as opposed to, is there a way that I'm doing harm? A lot of it those two questions don't even apply, because there's a whole boatload of things. Do I want chocolate ice cream or vanilla? Do I want to live in this house or that? Do I want to do this job or that job? I mean, unless, the job is between being a nurse and being somebody who's, destroying the planet, I guess. But for most part, there's a whole boatload of things in there where there isn't a right answer. There's not a spiritual answer. It's really just our answer. And we get to do that because we get to follow the impress as it's coming through and as us. Yes, if you made a different decision, you would have a different life. You would have a different life experience. You would have a different outcome. But who says that's better or worse? It's just different. And so, right. So
we express personality, as Ernest would say.
Yes, absolutely. That's because we are here to be individuated and to be ourselves. That I think, is one way of thinking about it, right? I have a personality. I like to hike. I like to be outside. I like to teach. I like to read philosophical books that are really hard to read. There's a lot of people who don't like those things. And so, but if I make decisions for my life, right, because of what other people say, then I might not do some of the things that are really native to my unique expression. Do you see? And that feels, and so another check that I have is does it feel congruent? Am I doing and behaving in alignment with what I believe to be true about life and who I believe myself to be? Because sure, I can behave out of an old pattern so we have checks to make sure that we are that we're not harming anybody, and basically we're awake to ourselves and what's really going on. Those, I think, are two big things. And then we trust ourselves. And then the other thing is, of course, we know that we can always change our mind. There's no right answer. This is probably the hardest thing for us to understand, is there is no right answer. It's not, so people come to me, should I stay in this relationship or should I go? How will I know? Well, one, are you doing harm? So are you having an affair? Is it abusive? Blah, 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 right? Are you doing harm? Great. No. Okay. 2, what do you want? I don't know. Okay. Well, if you stay, you're going to learn and grow. If you go, you're going to learn and grow. This is inevitable. And there's no right answer. There's only your answer in the moment. So another thing that I look for is which one, well, 2 things. First of all, I look for the one that makes me the most afraid. And then I dive right into the fear, because those places that make me the most afraid are the places that I believe I have to do it on my own. And and there's not this larger power and presence that's supporting me. And it's also where I'm limiting myself and holding myself back. So fear is very akin to if it feels like it's contracting me. Am I protecting myself? Am I do I feel like I'm trying to manage my safety and security? Or does it feel expansive? Does it feel like it's growing me? Does it feel like it's inviting me to be more of myself? Does it feel like it's inviting me to express more, not only of my unique personality, but also of the qualities of the divine? Am I being invited to express more love, more power, more beauty, more joy, more creativity, right? And there can be fear in that too, but it's more the fear of the unknown, and it's the fear of I don't think I'm going to do it right. And what if I fail? Well, so what? What if you fail? What if you fail? Well, there's learning in that too. And so so I think the question of, is it me, or is it my higher self, or is it, well, spirit doesn't, it's a hard way of saying it. Spirit does not actually have an opinion about what you decide.
The paradox, it's personal and impartial.
Yes. It wants to be you. The only thing that spirit wants is to be us and to express itself as us to the fullest possible extent.
So it can have experiences.
And so that they can be in alignment with itself, which must be in alignment with life and love and joy and power and peace and beauty and whatever attributes and things that we ascribe to it. But in the forms themselves, like I said, this job, this house, this relationship, the forms, that's where we get to play. Actually, that's where the universe gets to play as us. How are we helping you, Terry, here tonight?
Yes, that is all very helpful. Yes, and yes, yes, I do. I understand all that cognitively, and it did bring me back to a thought that I was having, which you mentioned just in passing, but the patterns that we have that we don't even realize are unhealthy patterns that are just such a part of our life that we don't even realize we're not even making a decision. So,
Very
and
good.
I feel so comfortable that,
right.
And it's, they're not doing any harm. And
right.
So,
they may be keeping you stuck.
Yeah.
Or you may say, okay, I'm good with it. I'm not going to do anything about it right now. That's okay. That's okay too. No matter what we do, we will learn and grow if we are willing to pay attention. I love that. I mean, truthfully, as I said, there's no right answer. And whatever, there's not really even such a thing as a mistake. I mean, I told my son this, just raising him the whole time. There's no such thing as a mistake if you learn from it. So you make a decision and you go, you're partway down the road and you're thinking, oh, no, this is not it. Well, great. That's not a mistake so much as, oh, I learned that I thought that this was it and it's not. Great.
Yes.
When you have a mistake, you can always do a retake.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God. You know what? That is fabulous. I want to make a t-shirt that says that. Every mistake is an opportunity for a retake.
Yeah, that's pretty good, Bobby. Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we took something. Yeah, I love that. So thank you, Terry, for sharing that, because you know what? That is an ongoing challenge that we all have. And part of it is to trust ourselves and to be willing to just, break out of some of the ruts, the routines, because they do keep us safe and they are comfortable, but we aren't really flourishing, or we aren't really following our bliss or our dream or our heart. And sometimes that means changes have to be made or things have to be done differently or, yeah. So all grist for the spiritual mill. And the lovely thing is, unless truthfully there's something harmful going on, often there's less urgency in this decision making than we think. If there's something harmful going on, we obviously have to make decisions, and sometimes we have to make them quickly. But otherwise, you can sit in this kind of a meditation process every day for a week, or take a month and say, okay, 5 times in the middle of this month, during this month, I'm going to sit in this kind of a process, and I'm just going to keep floating that question out there, keep floating the issues out there, keep floating it into that field of awareness. And I'm just going to notice which things keep reappearing. First of all, which patterns keep reappearing, but also which inspiration, intuition, guidance, possibilities, which of those keep reappearing. And then I like to feel in my body, how do those feel? Ooh, it feels I'm a little scared. Okay, but could that scared be exciting or interesting? Or just, is that really, oh, no, that's not the thing to do. Right. But we then have time to, again, not overanalyze, but to continually bring the questions forward and then have a whole scan, our bodies, our minds, our hearts, our intuition, right? Because that's the me, the all me, as opposed to just, I want to think about it, or I'm going to feel about it. Maybe I'm afraid, but do you see what I'm saying? So we can do that over time too, and start seeing not only which of the old patterns keep revealing, but what's the pattern of the new thing that keeps coming up. And I noticed for myself, we'll close on this, is that also for myself, I like to imagine, okay, I'm going to make this decision in my mind. And I'm really, really, really going to imagine that I'm standing 6 months or a year down the road, and I'm looking back over it, having made that decision. And usually it's crystal clear. I either feel relief, or I feel, oh no, I'm not ready for that yet. And so I actually put myself in the future, really try to imagine being in that space. And then I just feel into it. And that can also be a really good check, because it's not the infinite that is going to check it. You, as your own unique self, the individualized expression, your essential nature, the wholeness, body, mind, and spirit, will help you sense what, I don't know, feels more right in the moment, more appropriate. You know what I mean? As opposed to right and wrong, like there's a right answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks. Thank you, Terry. Thank you both, Terrys. Thank you, all of you who have joined me tonight. And Bobby, thank you so much. I hope that you can take this meditation practice with you through the course of the week. We'll have one more gathering next Wednesday, will be the last of our summer gatherings. And then we'll be starting again in the fall, and we'll let everybody know when and where and how our meditations will be in the fall. I so love spending this time with you. Really grateful. And yeah, I'll see you wherever on the internet or in person that I see you over the next